Alright boys, so we're going to be getting a Season 3 banner with Clover Academy, Charlotte, Fuegoleon, and Jack, and obviously every single season, the seasonal mages have a skill page summon that is separate from the characters, where you could only get the skill pages from the seasonals. And this time around, which is completely new and we're going to find out tomorrow morning, there's going to be a premium Black Crystal step-up summon for the 3 characters. Unsure if there's going to be the skill pages. It would be very interesting to see how they're going to do this. So it might throw a loop into things. We'll have to see. Obviously, this is just for paid players, which I know a lot of you guys are not. So as for when exactly they're going to be coming out, you should expect that at 7 a.m. EST, you're going to be able to open the game and play. So I should have my stream up in about an hour from this video going up, basically scheduled if I'm going to be streaming. If not, very unlucky, and I'll see what I do at that point. But if you go online, you could just convert 7 a.m. EST to your own time zone, and you should be good. It's a 5-hour maintenance, so, it's not going to be that bad overall. So, this video, we're going to be doing a Should You Summon, and we're going to be having different parts in this video. So, please refer to the timestamps if you need certain parts, or if you need other parts. So yes, that is essentially how we're going to do this. Let's take out, I should have done this before, but let's take the 3 units, talk about their kits, and then get into the Should You Summon afterwards. So exactly that. Now, I'm going to start with Charlotte. Charlotte is the big winner, I'd say, for many people who, in terms of like what they're going to be pulling for, I guess. So I'm going to be mentioning, basically their kits, and then we're going to go into the Should You Summon, including if you should dupe, and then end it off with a little teensy-weensy bit of speculation for Season 3 as a whole. Alright, so Charlotte is a counterattack support unit where on her skill 1 and on the ultimate provides guaranteed counterattack. So on the skill 1, it's at level 1 that she gives the counterattack guaranteed. But for the ultimate, it is at level 5. So you want to make sure that you do put the level 5 to make sure you get the guaranteed counterattack on your whole team. Okay, whole team. Very strong effect. You will see it does end up actually working out quite well sometimes if you don't use it turn 1. I feel like turn 1, it might lose some of its value. Turn 1, I do find more use in using the skill 2 or the combined attack. Now, going on, the skill 2 is an all attack increase up to 60% all attack, both magic attack and attack, and then if you have the skill page, grants total defense for 1 turn, which is going to count damage as blocked damage, which of course is going to be reducing damage. And then the combined attack is going to actually be damage reduction up to 20%. And why this is good is because she has 120 up to 126 speed at max dupe. That is going to be allowing you to get damage reduction. Plus you could put this with, I don't know, Mars, get the AoE stun, Julius, try to kill someone and get their stamina lowered if you don't kill, or Lotus, who has an AoE mobility reduction. So essentially, it's like damage reduction plus another strong effect is how you're going to play this. So yes, 4 amazing skills. By far, I would say the best. And just for people who, need an all-attack buffer. I mean, you get the all-attack here. Plus, if you're using it with Raya, this is 2 buffs if you're using it with the skill page, right? So there you go. Then, when the whole team is blue, you are going to be silencing the skill 2. The skill 2 for 1 turn. Now, for example, if we're taking this just like into PvP, Julius could kill someone with his ult, and then he's going to have access with the extra turn to his skill 2 right after. So it would not stop Julius in that case, but it can stop people like Noelle, who are going to use her skill 2, but she can't. So she's going to use her ult on a full blue team who's going to be pretty tanky, right? And at that point, she's worthless. Afterwards, you kill Noelle, and that's it, right? So that's basically that for this, right? On a full blue team, it works very well. Now, from her dupe, she's getting speed, and then she gets 1 skill point when attacked at dupe 2, and then at dupe 5, she increases the counterattack duration by 1 turn. It does get quite annoying, but of course, there's ways to play around it. Stun, right, is a big one, or just having a big barrier to make it so that the damage isn't that great, or just, eat it, right? Eat it. That's another way. The counterattack can be annoying, but it's more so better when it's on attack. When it's on defense, there's ways to kind of play around it because you're playing against a bot. That bot isn't too smart, but if you are attacking with it, it could definitely be very good because the bots could attack into the counterattacks without even really meaning to. So yes, getting the dupes is not a bad idea, but I'll kind of mention that a bit later. I just kind of want to explain what exactly the dupe passives are, but definitely the best part is getting her to 126 speed, which is, if you check the character stats, even to this date, the quickest speed in the game, tied with William, which does make Charlotte very strong. And in some cases, even better than William to run in some of these teams because of the fact that you might be comboing with Julius. In the future, one of the strong teams is you put William, or you just put the speed with Julius, and Julius gets the guaranteed combo kill turn 1. And since Charlotte, her combo is 20% damage reduction at max dupe, it might be better than just defense pen on William's hit, right? So there's different ways that you could look at it. If I remember correctly, is it for the ally too? Because if so, Williams might be better. Okay, so never mind. For the partner mage, it's definitely better if you're trying to kill to definitely use Williams, but in other cases, if your Julius is just that much stronger, using Charlotte's combo is not a bad idea, but William will give defense pen to Julius also, which is a big plus, right? Now, going on to Fuegoleon. So, this guy, big part of his kit is basically just removing barriers. So skill 1, very simple, burn. Skill 2, burn. And if there is already a burn, you dispel barrier. And this is going to be definitely quite good if you have other burn units. But obviously, it gets a bit weird with his ult. So let's explain that. But just to kind of say, with the skill page, also applies another random burn on an enemy. It could be anyone. Now, this is the main bulk of his kit. The only reason you're really going to be using him. And it is basically that you AoE dispel barriers on the whole enemy team. You use this, you're at 103 speed, so you're usually going to be attacking last, and that's it. You dispel all the barriers, and then GG, right? Now, what I do not like is that it removes all the burns from the target after the ult, which is a bit rough. I think that it will kind of conflict with Mario Leona and other burn units, and just in general, I don't really like it too much. I don't think it matters to charm you too much, but in the future, I'd say a lot of burn units, it's just not that great, mainly Mario Leona. Now, one thing about him that is pretty good, that usually doesn't do the most damage either way because it is quite rough to get 3 stacks of burn with everyone, is that depending on how many burn stacks, you're doing increased damage to that specific unit. So, let's say there's 4 units, 1 unit has 3 burns, 1 unit has 2, 1 unit has 1 burn, then the person with 3 burns is getting a 220% increased damage taken. The person with 2 burns is getting a 75% increased damage taken, and the person with 1 burn is taking 20% increased damage taken. So if everyone has 3 stacks, then it could start to get crazy, bro. It could start to get crazy, but even at that, the AoE multiplier is 110%, and his stats overall, if we do look at them just to kind of compare, magic attacker, he is decently low. I'd say this is better than most, right? For a burn unit, it is a bit lower than you would like when you compare to, for example, Fauna, because of the fact that it's higher magic attack to me, I'd rather it like that. Or just straight up, the Fauna and Leopold just having really good stats. 1,000 more magic, 1,000 more attack is definitely better. So I feel like his stats from burn unit specifically are a bit low. But overall, it's not really that bad. This is probably a typo, not gonna lie. But what does help him is that he has 30% immortality when he falls under 30%. He has immortality when he falls under 30% HP, which is pretty good. And why it's good is because all you really need to use is this. That's the main bulk of his kit. Now, what is bad with him is that you can't really apply burn, so you would need another burn unit. So at the moment, he is run off burn team, but in Season 5, when Charmy comes out, if you have Charmy at 2 dupes, then you will be able to run a burn team. Okay, that's basically it. Now, he gets 5% increased damage, up to 15% at max dupe per burn on the enemy, which if you max dupe this guy, he will start to get crazy numbers alongside his skill page, so that is to be seen. But it's kind of rough. I'm probably going to have fun with it on my Whale Friends account, so we'll see how that ends up going. But Fuegoleon is not bad, it's just very much bad timing. Reason being, if we look at the barrier unit that is coming, the main one that applies barriers is Charlotte. Charlotte is going towards a, going towards a single target barrier, where Magna, why we would say Magna's better than Fuego, even if Fuego at this point might have more use than Magna because Fuego has immortality, is that Magna removes barriers single target on here and on here, which does end up being much better than AoE barrier removal, and also Mario Leona having her on her ult and also her skill 2 single target barrier removal, because of the fact that there's not AoE barriers anymore, right? Or not as many. You won't see Noella much, or you won't see Broadus as much, so the need for AoE barrier removals is not as great, and we're starting to get units that have single target barrier removal, being Magna. Well, there's been a lot, right? Asta, Charmy, Magna. Let me just go over anyone here. Langris on his combo too, right? Then we also got Luck on his skill 1. that too, and then a bunch of units on their combo besides that. And also Mario Leona upcoming on her skill 2 and ultimate. So there's not as much of a need for the barrier removals, but I would say being able to keep the burns is pretty important, but this removes the burns. So that's like kind of my one problem with it. Now, going on to Jack, the one unit I have not talked about too much, and I think a lot of people are interested to maybe hear my opinions on it, is he's not really that good. Okay, so his whole thing revolves around miscalculation stacks. That lets him do extra attacks on his ult and combo attack. So skill 1, you bleed, and then you have a chance, 50% chance to bleed if there's already a bleed. Okay, skill 2, you apply 1 stack of miscalculation, apply increased penetration level 2 and increased accuracy level 2. So you're getting 2 buffs that are pretty decent. Basically, this is going to allow you to not be blocked. And this is, I forgot. I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot what pen does. Good stuff. Good damage. Yes, right? So that's that. Now, the ult is basically reliant 100% on the skill page. So what it does without it is a guaranteed stun. So the guaranteed stun, honestly, you could maybe have a gimmick team with Julius and him, where they both have guaranteed stuns, and then you're just gonna get the stuns and maybe kill. Like if your builds are good enough, then you might be able to kill. Now, besides that, you do an additional attack per stack of miscalculation on you. Remember, you could get up to 3 stacks of miscalculation, and each one's dealing 80% attack and magic attack to a random enemy. Now, the problem with this is that it's a random enemy. If it was targeted on one person, this would be so much better, but it's the fact that it's a random enemy. So this on itself goes to only 110%, which is very low. It's sometimes half of the natural ult attack amount. Then this is 80% up to 240, but then if you have the skill page, the last attack is going to be a 500% increased damage dealt. Okay, so that last one is going to be doing pretty good damage if you get to that last stack, but it's just getting 3 stacks because you get 1 here, and you have to either wait for this or you have to get his dupes, right? And even at that, this is not that crazy of a damage thing, which is the problem. Now, his combo does Dispel Barrier and does additional attacks, or extra attacks, I should say, depending on the amount of, or I think it's just 1 if you have the oh no, never mind. It's not dependent on miscalculation. You just do an extra attack like that, which sometimes the extra attacks on a random enemy is a bit worrisome because it could be someone with a counter, which always ends up being a bit bad. But you could get 1 here, as I said, for the miscalculation stacks. You could get 1 from dupe 1, and then you could get 2 from dupe 2. So that is the thing, from dupe 5, sorry, dupe 5. So the the dupe 2, you get 1 stack, and dupe 5, you get 2 stacks at the start of battle. Okay, so that is kind of that, where basically at dupe 5, you get 2 stacks here, then you use this once, and you're at 3 stacks. Then if you have the skill page, the last hit is going to be doing an extra 500% increased damage. Now, what I find fun is that he's at 104 speed, which is already higher than most DPSs in the game at the moment. But what is very cool is that when he's attacked, he gets a 20% increased mobility, which is going to let him, whenever there's a attack such as Charlotte's, Williams, Valtos' turn 1, he's going to be attacking next, which is going to be able to thwart the plans by using this stun. So he could play a more passive role if you would like. And overall, I think he will not be horrible, but will not be amazing at this current point in time. I don't think he'll have any dedicated team, so that is kind of the main problem with him, and he never really gets any. His damage just isn't good enough, sadly, but I think you could have a fun little gimmick by getting this increased mobility by 20%, which is essentially just a Valtos ult. So now that we went over the 3 units, right, we're basically just going to be talking about if you should summon. Now, personally, I'm under the impression that you don't need to summon. Fuego really loses his place quick, and for a lot of free-to-plays, getting Fuego is not really the way to go when the burn team is going to consist more around Charmy, Magna, and Mario Leona from the looks of it. So that kind of a no-go, and if you want to get him in the future, by that point, he should probably rerun. But maybe not, depending on when or how quick Mario Leona comes out, we'll have to see at that point. But I'd say that Charmy or Magna would be better with Mario. More likely Charmy. I don't see Fuego being too good, which is very unfortunate, but it is what it is, so that is that. Now, Charlotte, you could just choose. I'm genuinely going to recommend that you guys choose Charlotte. I've talked about it before, but Charlotte is the best option just because she has all attack increase, which I'd say is just very strong in general. But besides that, she could keep her place in the meta. And hey, she even came back now with luck recently. So that is pretty cool that she's able to do that. And yeah, Season 6 Charlotte is going to come out, but what, in 50 days, 60 days? So she is still going to be very good at this current current point in time, and she's not someone who's really going to be power crept too much, and especially for people if they are going to chase dupes, getting that 126 speed is going to be quite nice. And Jack, I don't think is really worth it. So personally, I don't think these two units are that crazy, right? They've not really seen that much use in PvP at all. They don't really have much of a place in the meta. Charlotte is there. She's not there as none of these units are really in the meta. They're all more short-term units, but Charlotte is still there and more alive than the other two, and still at the current point has the most value at the moment with the all attack for a lot of people who need all attack buffers in PvE content for nuking. So I'd say that that's something to be considered in this discussion. Right now, Charlotte does become better with her skill page, so if you are able to get her skill page, that would be good. Now, I guess what we're going to do is go into the skill pages and say if they're worth summoning for. So we did so actually this is a fine structuring, I think, but essentially we did the kits. Now we did the should you summon, which I don't think you should summon. I don't think it's worth it. These units don't last long enough, right? Not at all. Jack, meaningless already. Fuego has very short value. When season 6 Charlotte comes out, it's kind of completely over for him, but at the current point in time he will be okay enough. I would say though, it's very possible that he becomes insanely good if the meta shifts this way, and if so, we're gonna have to kind of see that to that. And yeah, but Charlotte definitely is looking the best at the moment, and it's just a pretty quick unit. So now let's go into the skill pages and then talk about how pay to win should approach this banner. I think why I'm mentioning the pay to wins after is because of the fact that it is actually quite important to mention the skill pages and understand how they work. So Jax, as we mentioned, right, is basically just that you get the miscalculation. If you have 3 stacks of miscalculation, you get a 500% increased damage buff on the final extra attack of 3 if you have all 3. Okay, so that is pretty decent. Then you also get a 100% chance to grant yourself 20% increased damage before attacking at max dupe, but if not, it's a 30% chance. 35% chance. And I mean, not the best, right? Increased damage is pretty nice, but you need to get a max dupe, and it's only 20%. Where with Fuegos, which is insane, is that 10% up to 100% chance when attacking to gain a 5 up to 25% increased damage per burn on the enemy, up to 75% increased damage per enemy you're attacking, right? Technically, if they're doing it separately in an AoE format, or if single target, obviously you're just attacking that person, and it does add the random burn, so that's decent. But it's mainly this, where this is basically future proof for a bunch of burn units. So yeah, there is that. And then Charlotte's, it's just nice to have for this, getting the total defense. Being able to block damage is great, but then when you're attacked, there's a chance you recover a skill point, which is also very strong if you get her dupes. So for pay to wins, right, just to kind of explain, I would say, first of all, from the battle pass, I would recommend choosing Charlotte's for most people. For your average player, choosing this one is going to be the best. Now, for free to plays, okay, for pay to wins, not free to plays, pay to wins. All right, so pay to wins for sure. Definitely, they want to go into this skill page banner. This is the first of many skill page banners that you're going to be hopping into. And this one, you could just tell, right? This is insane. Just future proof wise, being able to use it on Magda, Charmy, Mario, Leona is going to be insane. Getting 25% increased damage per burn, giving you a 75% increased damage dealt is going to be crazy. But the other 2 skill pages are not that good. So for pay to win / big whales, this is the way to go. Now, for just your little dolphin, I would say you shouldn't really go chase it, because if you're not able to go for the max dupe, then there's honestly no point at all. But that max dupe is very worth it for this specific one, right? Now, as for the actual characters, should you be summoning on the actual characters as a pay to win? I would say, honestly, where's Charlotte? I just like having that was the wrong Charlotte. I just like having the units up. So these 3 units are not really that worth it. Overall, I think Fuego could actually put up some good numbers. So if you are a Dolphin and aren't spending too much, I wouldn't say going for the dupe 2 or anything is really that worth it. I would say that this one is not exactly a go-to, especially with Jack also not really being worth it. You're really only chasing 1 out of 3. So I'd say that you should probably wait for when the banners become out of 2. And Noelle, sure, she will have her point in the meta, but if anything, not Noelle, but Noelle is going to be there, which is going to help Charlotte. Season 5 Noelle, I'm talking about Halloween Noelle, but it's going to be very short-lived to where you're just going to not want to run it with Charlotte. So I don't know. Charlotte is kind of just someone who came out maybe at an unfortunate time, or it's just that they released another stupid-ass Charlotte really quick after, being 2 seasons after. And in this case, 2 seasons is probably less than 2 months away. So that's kind of insane that we're going to get Season 6 Charlotte probably before the end of March. Which is, think of that. That's kind of crazy, right? So personally, for pay to wins, I don't think on the character banner you should go too hard, but on the skill page banner, if you are like a Giga Whale, going for the Fuego dupes is not a bad idea in any way, shape, or form. But for many people that are spending, definitely just stick to this and then get your way out of this banner. Most people should be skipping. I think the characters, even with dupes, are not really that crazy. Charlotte could have a pretty big impact on the meta, but we're gonna have to see a bit more. I would say for most people, unless you're just like someone who spends to spend, right? Just spending on everything, getting anything, right? Then it's not really worth it if you're not that type of person at all. And for free to plays, I really think this banner is a no-go. Now, of course, final thing to talk about is the possible pickups for season 3. So my personal guess at this point in time is going to be these units. So it's going to be this dual banner, my guess, and then the other units are going to be, if I could find them, it's going to be these two. So we're going to get 3 green units, if anything. That would be kind of interesting if we do. But basically, these are the like last 2 dual pickups, or last 4 pickups that are not exactly on the level that they started to get with Witch Queen and Fauna, which both are very good in their respective teams. But is pretty good out of these 4, but I would say most of these are going to be skips for almost everyone, because is only really good on a full red team, but even at that, you could use other units for that red team. So it's just value-wise, it's not fully there. I'm not saying he's bad. If you are someone who spends, it would not be a bad idea. But overall, these are 4 units you could easily skip. Now, some people are saying, let me pull it up actually, that basically it says there's a festival thing where it's like a festival attendance. People are saying, oh, it might be Black Asta, but I don't really see that. But some people are saying it might be Black Asta, so maybe keep your crystal safe just in case it is Black Asta. But personally, I am not under the impression that we are going to be getting Black Asta in season 3. I'm gonna guess they're gonna save it for season 4, but we will find out tomorrow what the units are, because of the fact I'm going to scroll just to show you guys what exactly I mean, but I'm going to have to scroll a while. So let's see. Basically, whenever a new season does come out, they show the new units in the glossary. So here we saw Kiara Kohono, then the Asta and Julius. So we're going to see what units we're getting in season 3 at this point in time. But I also did see that, just to kind of show you guys, if we check this, we could see when exactly the season ends by checking the battle pass. If we go to the battle pass, if I could find it, battle pass ends on February 6th. So this season is going to be ending. It's going to be a 20-day season. So I just don't see a festival coming out in a 20-day season. I think they're going to try to make it a 30-day season. So definitely this is another thing that kind of says to me that we are not getting Black Austin. We are instead going to be getting those 4 more unhyped pickups, being Langris, Vettel, and Goldlitty in any way, shape, or form. Or only 2. We're going to have to see, but this is my current guess as to the units we're getting. So I'd say that we have a full skip season. If anything, season 4 is pretty cool. People like Charlotte, but for the person who wants to like, for people who bitch about the pulls, I would say don't summon, really. It's not really that worth it, but hey, whatever. If you guys don't care, just summon on whatever. I'm just giving you guys my opinion, and I'm giving my opinion for people who want to know what to do. But if you don't care, then I don't know why you're even watching this. Just leave. No. Anyway, I'm done, so peace.